The Kraken hosting the Chicago Blackhawks, and what better way to snap a little bit of a losing streak than playing Chicago, and Seattle does exactly that tonight. It's another 6-2 final in this one. McCann, Schwartz, and Anderson in the first, Wenberg and Tanev in the second, and then Foligno followed by 2 goals from Tomas Tatar in the third. Form that 6-2 final. Arvid Soderblom, not a good night once again. 22 of 28, a .786 save percentage for him. Joy Decord gets back into his dominant ways. 32 of 34 for a .941 in the winning effort. Chicago getting more shots, but obviously the chances going much more in favor of Seattle, and the scoreboard kind of depicts that pretty clearly. NHL regular season recap, night 103. We kick things off with a game between the Flyers and Red Wings. The Flyers now, of course, without Carter Hart after the news of the 2018 Canadian World Junior team being released and those 5 players being granted leaves of absences. So Sam Harrison with the start tonight, and once again, not a good performance from him. 14 of 17 in the loss. All 3 goals for the Red Wings coming in the second period. It's Larkin, Sider, and Andrew Kopp shorthanded with his goal. It's a 3-0 final. Alex Lyon, 30 of 30, a perfect save percentage for him. Pretty good game from the Wings. They continue to look pretty good in the Atlantic despite being just outside a divisional playoff spot. Nonetheless, this is a win they needed pretty badly, and they get it by a score of 3-0 over Philadelphia. The Lightning taking on the Coyotes, and neither goalie was all that great in this one. Connor Ingram, 31 for 37, and Andrei Vasilevsky, 17 for 20. Ingram with an .838 save percentage, Vasi with an .850. Again, neither of them all that great. In the first, it's Radish, Keller, and Point. In the second, Kucherov, Stamkos, and then a goal from just 3 NPCs, no offense. Chaffee, Martinson, Lilleberg, and Crozier. Never heard of any of those players, respectfully. And then Sean Dursey closes the scoring in the second, making it 5-2 Lightning after 2. In the third, Glendening and Krause both score, making it 6-3, and that's, of course, where the score stands. It's a pretty dominant performance from the Lightning, to be honest. They outshoot Arizona 37-20. They were just all over it really all night, as they should be considering the roster that they have. So it's an expected win for the Bolts. The Coyotes kept it relatively respectable, but 6-3 isn't great. I don't know. Nonetheless, Lightning win this one, as they should, 6-3. The Bruins visiting Ottawa, and this one ended up being pretty entertaining. In the first, David Pastrnak with his 31st of the year on the power play makes it 1-0. Trent Frederick in the second period extends the lead to 2-0 with his 14th, but then before the period ends with just 28 seconds to go, Shabbat on the power play makes it 2-1. We head to the third where Vlad Tarasenko ties it with less than 5 minutes to play. Another power play goal here from Shabbat and Norris. We head to overtime, and it was a pretty back-and-forth overtime despite lasting less than 2 minutes. And I don't know how to feel about this goal. I mean, it's a 2-on-1. It's an early pass. Korpisalo has the shot the whole way, and frankly, Sanderson almost overplays the shot a bit because he has the defenseman coming back. Korpisalo probably should have a save there, but at the same time, Marchand had a lot of time. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the goal, but nonetheless, the Bruins win it 3-2 in overtime. Korpisalo, 20 for 23. Swayman, 35 of 37. The much better of the 2 goalies in this one. 3-2 final for Boston. The Canadiens taking on the Islanders, and this one was a rough one at the start for Varlamov. He gives up 3 goals on just 13 shots in the first. It's Suzuki, Caulfield, and Monahan. In the second, the Islanders make it 3-1 with a goal from Bo Horvat, and then in the third, Barzal and Palmieri both score on the power play. All 3 Islanders goals coming on the power play, making it 3-3, but with less than 3 minutes to play, Sean Monahan with the clincher, his 13th of the year from Anderson and Caulfield, makes it a 4-3 final. Just not good enough from Semyon Varlamov. I don't know if he's nervous because Patty Waugh is behind his bench now or what, but nonetheless, Sam Montembeault faces almost 2 times the shots he does and stops 21 more. So a 43 of 46 effort for Montembeault, 22 of 26 for Varlamov. A big win for the Canadiens, a 4-3, and they get it in regulation. The Devils visiting the Hurricanes in a high-powered Metro Division matchup, but the Hurricanes get the better of New Jersey. In this one, they score the first 3 goals of the game in the first period. Sebastian Aho opens the scoring just a minute and 30 seconds in. In the second, Teravainen and Stahl add 2 extra to make it 3-0. Jordan Stalls did get challenged for a high stick off of Seth Jarvis, but no dice there for Lindy Ruff. That would also be the end of Nico Dawes' night. He stops just 9 of 12. Vanacek comes in and, of course, stops the remainder of the shots, just 11 of them, I believe. In the third, the Devils tried to make it interesting. Justin Dowling with his first of the year, and then with 3 seconds to play, Jesper Bratt scores to make it 3-2, but much too little too late at that point, and it's a 3-2 victory for the Canes. Antti Ranta in his half of the net, pretty good, 23 of 25, a .920 save percentage in the winning effort. Canes were just a bit better tonight. Wasn't all that large of a gap between these two teams, but just enough of a margin for the win for the Canes. The Wild hosting the Predators, and this is a game that the Wild probably should have won, and one that they needed pretty badly against another Central Division opponent that they're looking to catch up to if they want to keep their lives in the playoff hunt here. They score the first goal of the game in the second period, a Joel Eriksson power play goal, his 21st of the year. We head to the third, though, and the Preds score 3 in the first 11 and a half minutes to make it 3-1. Matt Boldy scores with a little under 4 minutes to play, also on the power play, to bring it to 3-2, but not quite enough to tie the game for the Wild. They end up losing this one 3-2. No empty netters today. UC Saros, 22 of 24 for Nashville. Pretty good. Philip Gustafsson, 25 of 28. Can't really pin this game on him, but still just not quite good enough for the win. This one hurts for the Wild, man. It's another game that they probably should. I mean, it's a 1-goal lead, so it is what it is, but they just need all the wins they can get, especially against other Central Division opponents, and this one, they just let it slip through their fingers. Tough loss for them. Big one for the Preds. 3-2 is the final. The Ducks taking on the Stars, and we had a pair of goals, one from each team in each of the 3 periods. So you guys can do the math. That means we headed to overtime. First 3 periods, though, Duchesne and Vakanainen with the 2 goals in the first, Terry and Smith in the second, and then Silverberg and Heiskanen in the third. The overtime winner goes to Thomas Harley. He scores just 38 seconds in, his 10th of the year. I feel for John Gibson in this one. He faced 44 shots while Jake Ottinger faces just 21. Gibson stops 40 of the 44. Ottinger 18 of the 21. Gibson was definitely the better of the 2 goalies, but just not quite enough for the victory. Of course, hard to win when you get outshot over 2-1 as the Ducks did tonight. But again, this is kind of the outcome you expect between these 2 teams. The Stars are kind of cup contenders, or at least on paper. The Ducks, bottom feeders, both on paper and in their record. So an expected win for the Stars, but one that was definitely made closer thanks to John Gibson's efforts. Another game that went about as you'd expect, Edmonton taking on Chicago, and they continue their winning ways. McDavid scores in the second and in the third with the empty netter. Zach Hyman with his 29th of the year, sandwiched in between the 2 McDavid goals. Leon Draisaitl with 3 assists in this one as well. A pretty good game from him. Calvin Pickard, 27 of 27 in the shutout bid. Is anyone really surprised they beat Chicago? Like, come on. Last game of the night, the Blue Jackets visiting Calgary, and this one did not go the way you might have expected. The Blue Jackets win this one by a final score of 5-2 over a Calgary Flame that's supposed to be looking to keep themselves alive in the playoff race out west. They're not doing it tonight. In the first, we had the highest scoring period. Chinnikov, Uyghur, Severson, and Zari all scoring. In the second, Alex Texier brings the lead back for Columbus at 3-2. And then in the third, it's Voronkov and Fantilli both scoring to make it that 5-2 final. Daniil Tarasov, the better of the 2 goalies, which is kind of just unacceptable. If you're Jacob Markstrom, he stops 28 of 30. Markstrom 27 of 31 in the losing effort. This is much like the Wild game, a pretty tough loss for the Flames. They're chasing really 3 teams now. I don't think they're catching Edmonton at this point, but LA is staggering, and Seattle's been kind of on and off the last 2 weeks. So ideally, you'd like to see them beat teams like Columbus, but they don't get it done tonight. We'll see if they can rebound in their next game. It's a tough loss for Calgary and for Columbus. Kind of like the other bottom-feeding teams, not really playing for much, but you enjoy the wins like these ones when you get them. But that's going to be it for NHL regular season recap. Night 103, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I think 4 games, but at least a couple of them are pretty good, so hopefully we get some entertainment. We'll talk to you guys then.